Here we go. So this woman told me that some maniac young guy came up to her and gave out like a karate shriek, like "Ha-ya!" and hit her in the leg and broke her leg, or in the thigh, and she fell. And for 10 minutes, she was screaming in downtown LA, and nobody helped her.
Oh my God.
Nobody helped her. Again, empathy can save the world. If you save one person, it's like you saved an entire world. And apathy destroys the world. So this is what Moses did. Moses was in downtown LA, and he saw that nobody was helping that woman. Right? He looked this way, and he looked that way, and he saw that there's nobody there doing anything about it, so he did it. Now here's a very...
Because here the translation is kind of crappy. Because rather than saying he looked this way and that way to see if anyone was going to help him, it says he looked this way and that way, that no one was there watching. So it's a different...
So you see what happened? The translator added his own commentary. Instead of, it doesn't say that there was nobody watching. And then he buried him in the sand. And I read once a beautiful commentary that says that that when Moses buried the Egyptian, he also buried his own Egyptianness. He kind of said, I am not an Egyptian, I'm a Jew. I'm with my people. It's kind of like during the days of the Hanukkah War in the 2nd century BCE, when Matityahu, the father of the Hashmonaim family, said, Mila Hashem Elai. Whoever is for God, join me. Right? There's some people who are, at this point just attached to the Greek side. So Moses, by burying the Egyptian who was lashing the Hebrew slave, he also buried his own Egyptian identity with him. And then, in verse 13, Moses sees two people fighting, and he tells the wicked one, why are you striking your brother? Right? And 14, that person must have been Jewish, because he said to him, who do you think you are? Who appointed you? Are you going to kill me the way you killed the Egyptian? Moses was afraid, and he decided to run for his life. And then he went to Midian. And verse 19, goes to verse 19. And that's after Moses saved those 7 sisters, the Midianite sisters, from the shepherds who were oppressing him. There's actually a neighborhood, an area in London, England, called 7 Sisters, and I never thought about it. Maybe it's named after Jethro's daughters. So they come home and
the priest of Midian is named Jethro.
Yeah, and he has another name, Reuel.
Yeah.
But we know him as Jethro.
What's his other name?
Reuel, on verse 18. Yeah. And the daughters tell him, this man saved us from the shepherds. And verse 20, Jethro says his daughters, who raised you, so to speak? Why did you let this man go? Bring him over, we'll host him, we'll honor him, we'll express gratitude. Verse 21, Moses comes to eat in their home. And of course the Torah only... you have to understand this about Torah. The Torah is not Little Red Riding Hood, and it's not even the Titanic movie. It's not about romance. It gives you the information you need for a certain spiritual and religious context. Not necessarily. Not
You
necessarily.
come to dinner and you get a wife.
He was there for years.
That's the party.
He lived in Midian.
He says he agreed to reside with the man.
Right.
Yeah.
How fast do you get married?
And he
No.
gave Moshe his daughter.
Again, it's translation. There's.
Come to dinner and
Come
you get a wife.
on, come on.
All right. By the way, the translation.
Don't forget there were times of
The-
marriages from the time they were born.
All right. So, by the way, it might be funny, but a lot of these marriages are way better than the marriages we have now.
No kidding.
Okay. In the state of California, 51% of marriages don't work out. So I don't know how superior our system is.
The narrator did not want to make a big deal about it.
Anyway.
Listen. This is not on a timeline. Come on.
All right, we continue. Verse 22.
Silly.
Verse 22, page
Because then she also
265.
gave birth. I mean, that's got to be at least 9 months.
Moses' son Gershom is born, and it says, because I was a foreigner in a foreign country.
You've heard that one.
Yeah, it's similar to Joseph killing, God forbid calling his first son
That's also Heinlein's book.
Menashe, because God helped me forget all my sufferings in a foreign land.
Yeah.
And then a new Pharaoh came, and 24. Now God has empathy. Pharaoh's daughter had empathy. Moses had empathy for his father, for the Hebrew slave, for the non-Jewish women, for the sheep in the midrash. 24. And God heard the cries of the children of Israel. Right? Now God is empathic. Okay. Verse 4. Let's do 5 minutes and go home. I mean, not verse 4. Fourth Aliyah. Chapter 3, verse 1. Page
We got to get to 15.
268.
Why? What's 15?
Okay.
Name of God.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So let me run with it now so we can cover verse 2 on page 269. And God's angel appeared to Moses from amidst the fire, and he saw that the bush was burning, but it was not consumed. One way to understand it is that when you look at this is the scientific, the way a scientist can find God's presence in the world. Einstein once said very famously, God does not play dice with the universe.
Right.
It means that there is inherent harmonious causality to the way the cosmos and our world, specifically planet Earth, functions. When you see cancerous sun rays blocked by the atmosphere, that's like the bush that's not consumed. It's a miracle. As we speak, there are cancerous sun rays blocked in the atmosphere. We have photosynthesis. It's very intricate biochemical dynamic and process through which we are able to breathe, right? So all these things is like the bush that is not consumed. So many things have to take place for planet Earth as the bush, so to speak, not to be consumed, and for life to be possible in this world.
Can I ask a question? When he says the bush is not consumed, what does he mean by that? It's burning, but it's not burning?
It's burning, but it maintains its
it's
regular
engulfed
state.
in flames,
But
but
it's-
the
but
bush itself is not burning.
I see.
In other words,
Imagine, God forbid, I am full of fire, but I'm not changing. Nothing happens to my body. You understand?
Yeah.
That's what happened to the bush. Okay, now, verse 4, and God calls on to Moses, and Moses says, Hineni, here I am. Verse 5, verse 6, Moses says, I am the God of your fathers, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's the first way we can understand God, is that that's the same God that my parents served by going to synagogue and doing Yom Kippur and Passover, and my grandparents. The first way we connect to the tradition is through our family genealogy and through our ancestry, intergenerational continuity. And that's why the first paragraph of the Amidah also talks about our God and the God of our ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? Now, verse 9, again, God is saying to Moses, I am empathic. I saw the way they're being oppressed. Their cry has come to me. Verse 11, Moses, like all great prophets, doesn't want the job. Mi anochi ki elech el bo. Who am I to have this lofty mission statement? And God says He's going to give him omens. Verse 14, Moses asks, who is doing the talking here? Who is God? Who should I tell sent me? And God tells him very famously, I shall be what I shall be, which means I cannot be defined. I am the infinite.
Which are the Hebrew words?
Eheyeh asher eheyeh.
Okay, Ehiyeh. That's the name of God.
Eheyeh, no.
No.
Eheyeh asher eheyeh. And God said to Moses, I shall be what I shall be.
Where
Meaning,
are you seeing that's the name of God?
It's not the name of God.
Why do you think?
You have to know.
Do you know how to read Hebrew?
Look,
because it said, I will be sent to you. I will be sent to you.
I don't know. This is one translation. This is one translation out of thousands. I can tell you what the book really says.
Okay.
You're reading one guy's translation.
Right.
I can tell you exactly what it really says.
All right.
It's just if we were reading Lahavdil to distinguish a book in Chinese. You have an American translator. I have the Chinese. All right? I have the Hebrew. Vayomer Elokim el Moshe. God said to Moses, Eheyeh asher, I shall be what I shall be.
And
Meaning,
then,
wait.
Right, of course.
Yeah, okay. But then it's poetic repetition. But the point is, or that's the perspective that I'm offering here today, is that I shall be what I shall be means, excuse my terms, don't be an idiot. If you're talking about something that's not matter, God is saying supposedly to Moses, forgive me, and God forgive me, and Moses forgive me. He's saying, don't be silly. I shall be what I shall be. I cannot be defined. I cannot be apprehended by the limited cognition of a mere mortal. I am infinite. I am eternal. I am not of material substance. I am an infinite, eternal spirit. I cannot be caged into a linguistic formula. I am beyond thematization and categorization. I shall be what I shall be. I cannot be put in a linguistic or epistemological straitjacket, which means I can't be confined into some sort of a nice, neat formula.
Okay, so I see what Mark is saying here.
Can Ehiyeh be the name of God? Just that word?
No, because otherwise we would see that name all the time, and we have so many other names.
We don't.
We have so many other names for God.
Right.
But here in the next one, Rabbi, in the next line, in 14, it says,
I shall be. Eheyeh means I shall be.
I shall be sent me to you.
So I shall be is the way I understand it, and the way I was taught it from one. There's so many commentaries. I don't mean to exclude the others, but I'm offering you kind of the mystical, Kabbalistic lens here, is that he's sending a message to the Jewish people at the time in which they are dehumanized and they are enslaved. And he's telling them, I shall be. I am an open-ended horizon. I am radically free. I can be whatever I want to be in the future. Eheyeh means I will be. So you too are now in the dire straits of servitude, but you too shall be what you shall be. He's telling the Jewish people at that historical moment, he's telling all of humanity for perpetuity, you will be what you will be. I, God, am radically free and future-oriented. You too are in my image, henceforth you too are radically free.
You're not limited.
Exactly.
Can we look at the Rashi here?
Not to define themselves.
Sure. What?
He's telling Jews not to define themselves.
Yeah, you're not limited. You have there's no limit to your name.
And don't let others or the way others treat you define you. Yes. Yeah. I'm with you, Judith. You want to look at the Rashi?
Rashi for 14.
Hold on.
And 15.
Okay. to wrap up soon, but okay. I have to go back one. Okay, Rashi. So Rashi, remember, Rashi is the master of pshat, of the simple meaning, and I was narrating the Kabbalistic meaning. Different people have different...
Of course.
Right? So, for 13?
14 and 15.
Okay, 14. Rashi. And God said, I shall be what I shall be, and this you shall say to the children of Israel, I shall be sent to you. I shall be what I shall be. I will be with them in this trouble, meaning in Egypt, the way I'll be with them in all other troubles, the way I'll be with them, in Russia, and the way I'll be with them in Morocco, so to speak, right? And then Moses said to God, do you really want me to tell them that they're going to be oppressed for so many years, even after Egypt? They'll get so depressed. So God said to him, well said, just say, I shall be. I shall be with you now.
In 15, he says, this is my eternal name.
Mm-hmm.
Leolam is missing the letter Vav after the ayin.
So that
saying, conceal it, so that it, my name, not be read as written.
Yeah, it's something with the Yud Hey Vav Hey. I'm not sure
and
exactly.
This is how I am to be mentioned.
Right.
God taught him how the name is to be read.
Right, the Yud Hey Vav Hey. Right.
Similarly, David says, your name is forever.
Right. Okay, so, we can spend time on all of these.
Here's a commentary that says something interesting about names. Name giving in the ancient world implied the wielding of power over the one named. So there's a superstition. If you knew the name of God, then you can control God. And so they didn't want
people naming themselves in God's name,
or to know who.
What his name?
Like we say, God, please help me. I need help. I'm out of money. Please God, give me. So we call God. We call the name of God in order to invoke His helping us. And so maybe the name of God was a way of asserting power over God.
I don't know. That's a historical.
Are we driving you nuts right now?
No. I just we have so much. No, it's okay. I mean, I just.
We're driving you nuts.
No, God forbid. I just want to say because we got
He's like yabba dabba do.
We just need to wrap up. So I'm just going to say that it's fascinating that Moses says to God, don't hire me for the job. I don't have the right resume because I ain't a good orator.
Right.
I am of uncircumcised lips. And that's exactly what he says.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. And basically what we see is something astounding. We are a very intellectual people, but our greatest leader started out as not being a strong speaker. He ended up by being a mega speaker. The whole last book of the Bible, of the Torah rather, Deuteronomy, Dvarim, is just Moses giving a series of speeches in the first person to the people. But here he says, I'm not a good speaker. Moses says, don't worry. God says, don't worry about this. Hitler, Yamach Shemo, electrified the German masses with his rhetoric. You had some of the greatest intellectuals of the 20th century. There's a great philosopher called Martin Heidegger. He supported Nazism. There was another one, Carl Schmitt. He supported Nazism. There were great French intellectuals like Jean-Paul Sartre. At some point they supported Stalin. So the Torah is telling us, yes, intellect is great, verbal virtuosity is wonderful, but God wants us to be people of heart and integrity and compassion and empathy. The intellect is secondary. I think by electing somebody like Moses, who was not a great speaker, is sending us a message about the power of words, that we should beware of words, that words can be bewitching, and sometimes words, when God uses words, He only uses words to create the world. Human beings use words also to destroy. Right. And that's why our sages say life and death are at the mercy of one's tongue. I'll end by saying that when Moses and his wife Zipporah go back to Egypt, Moses is riding a donkey, which is the same thing that Abram did on his way to bind Isaac. And the word donkey in Hebrew is the same letters as the word chomer. Chamor is donkey, and chomer is matter or material. And the idea is that he reached a level in which his spirituality could completely harness and contain the crude materialism of the world. He achieved a highly evolved level of mind over matter, of the ability to spiritualize his entire being and everything that he interacted with, and everyone whom he interacted with. So just like Abraham reached that level before the Akedah, Moses reached that level here. They're going back to Egypt. They have to do an amazing, an emergency circumcision.
Right.
And what was his
That
name?
was a strange story, but we don't have to
Yeah.
do that.
Do
So
you realize that we only covered half of the parashat?
no, we pretty much covered.
No,
the
it goes
gist.
all the way up to 6.1. And we were in the threes.
Yeah, one quick question, if I can, if I can ask you.
Let me just do 1 minute, and then we'll do the questions and end.
Okay.
And Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh and asked him to let the people go so that they can have a Jewish holiday in the desert.
Right.
And Pharaoh says, "Mi Hashem, who is Yud Hey Vav Hey, that I should heed his voice?
The names.
Velo yadati et Yud Hey Vav Hey. I don't know Adonai is in Yud Hey Vav Hey, and also the Jewish people." Now,
Yeah.
So
again,
that's where they
you
use-
It's not one of our gods.
so you have to look at it. The way I look at it is, I don't look at it as a historian. I look at it from what is the perpetual spiritual message. So it brings to mind Stalin, the mass murderer, communist leader. And somebody once was talking with Stalin, and Stalin was going to do something, and he said, "The Pope is not going to like it." So Stalin looked contemptuously at that person and said, "How many battalions does the Pope have?" And where is Stalin today? In the garbage can of history. And the Vatican is alive and well. So you have these people in history that just have complete contempt for spiritual life, but ultimately they are thrown into the garbage cans of history.
Like
There was a movie, I don't know if you've
bigger
seen
than
it,
yours.
maybe about 10 years ago, about Mussolini's lover, mistress, in Italian. And at the beginning of the movie, Mussolini is a socialist journalist, and he's a vehement atheist, and he goes on a press conference and says, "If there is a God, strike me now and kill me." And then he waits 30 seconds and he starts laughing. There is no God. At the end of the movie, Mussolini and his wife are hung from their feet down.
Upside down.
And you hear in the echo his words, "If there is a God, let him kill me." It's like there's a story that Nietzsche, who was the most atheistic of modern philosopher, somebody once wrote on a wall in Germany, "God is dead," because that's what Nietzsche wrote in one of his books, signed Nietzsche. So the next night somebody wrote, "Nietzsche is dead, signed God." So you see, Pharaoh is like Stalin. He says, "Who is God? What kind of And I think it says a lot about the arrogance of the worst tyrants, and what we see at the end of the parasha is that Pharaoh says, "You know what? These guys have too much time on their hands, that they want freedom," so he enslaves the Jewish people even further. And
They have to go find their own straw.
yeah, so that's really the end of the parasha. Okay, so we did quite a bit today.
This is the end of half of the parasha.
No, that's.
No, because that's only we're
We
talking about this part.
did select highlights. I think we did quite a bit today.
Yeah, we did a lot.
Thank you, friends.
Thank